Sir, and welcome to the final table of the 2025 Battle of Malta main event. It is day number 5 for these players, so it's been quite the grind, and they have already locked up 12,760 euros. But that is chump change compared to the 120,000 euro top prize and the honor of being the latest Battle of Malta champion and having your photo added to the Battle of Malta Wall of Fame. As is sometimes the case, we have about half Italians on the table, exactly half Italians on the table, but it is a gentleman from Poland who has a substantial chip lead in Adrian Zmichad with 21.3 million in chips, and he's followed by a player that came all the way from the United States in Rob Perelman with a hair over 10 million, and Rasmus Lundstrom, a WSOP circuit winner. He's in third place with 9.6 million. Today, it is just the final day of the main event. All the other events have come to conclusion. You can check out the results at thebattleofmalta.com. Just click on the live blog. There's a result. So you can watch it in live time. Breakdown. The doors are open. The bar is open as well. A few dozen people around rooting on their friends or just curious about the action. You can see Mr. Hurley Olap and his brother there in the background, for example, despite there being no Estonians. He wants to see what happens. Thinking he's going to be bullying the final table, was really kind of just playing his hands in the beginning. I'm sure we're going to see him with wider ranges as the blind level and the day goes on. Who are you cheering for, Tati? You're asking who the chat's cheering for. And we have it all in on a call. Interesting. The two short stacks getting it in. It's Attila jamming from the small blind with ace-8. Rob Perelman, who is not a short stack, calling with the tens. He is ahead. We could be looking at a player on the rail in the opening blind level. Let's see if Attila Schuks can get there or not. Not the flop he wanted to see. It does have a backdoor flush draw with the 9-queen deuce, 2 diamonds, 1 heart. But it's the ace of spades on the turn, the miracle turn card for Attila. And let's see if it's a 10 on the river. No, it's a king of hearts on the river. So we have our first double up. And Attila gaining some breathing room. Meanwhile, Rob Perelman in decent enough shape with 8.8 million. It wasn't a big shove. An easy call there for Rob. An easy shove as well from Attila and an unopened pot from the small blind with any ace. So a little limpy here for Rob. Rasmus should be happy to see a free flop, but I won't be surprised if he also just tries to take the blinds down with a raise to set the tone for the future, but it does just call it back. And not the worst flop here for either player. We have Rob with the top 2, Rasmus with a flush draw, some also backdoors to a straight going on. So both players with a big piece, but Rob should feel very confident, and he should be able to understand that this is also a draw-heavy board. A very experienced poker player that has traveled around the world. So far it's a little bit of small ball, a min bet and a call. The ace of spades on the turn doesn't really change too much. That should give Rob a little bit more worried. Oh shit, there's another flush draw, but other than that, it's a blank for both players. And shouldn't slow Rob down. It looks like he fires for 400,000 this time, and indeed it is. And Rasmus, is he thinking about doing anything but calling here? I don't think he's ever folding. But I think a small part of him now is thinking, should I be raising? But playing it safe. He's getting a really cheap price as well. And the 2 of hearts on the river does connect with Rasmus, but not in the right way. Does not complete that flush. Bottom pair is definitely no good. And Rob with the 2 pair. Let's see if he tries to squeak in another street of action. I don't think he'll get paid if he does. Unless Rasmus thinks, well, my opponent was doing this with Jack 10. trying to set the price cheaply. And Rob betting a little bit less than half the pot for 700,000. Should be an easy fold here for Rasmus. I mean, obviously he can raise. I just don't see any other hand but the Jack 10 doing what Rob just did right now. So it's either that's really the only bluff hand. You're blocking, some of the diamonds for the flush draw that he could have been doing it with on 2 streets and then firing a third. Of course, he could be having a range full of air, but I wouldn't put Rob on that. And Rasmus taking his time a little bit, thinking things through, and then making the correct fold there. Luca folding his unsuited ace-5, but I don't expect Adrian to fold his king-10 suited from the cutoff. He does not have the image at the moment as a table bully either. Does indeed min-raise it up. Attila will go through his normal 5 seconds. This time it was a snap fold. And Rob will likely be defending his queen 10 suited, and if it's a 10 high flop, it could be a little bit of trouble for Rob, but in general, I'd be surprised if he did anything else but call here. Not the worst flop for king 10. Even a backdoor flush draw just in case, but flopping trips with a 10 kicker, Rob with the gut shot straight draw. I won't be surprised if Adrian plays this a little bit sneaky, but he may just be saying if I didn't hit the flop, I'm betting. If I hit the flop, I'm betting. So he's betting it small. And it might be small enough to keep Rob around for one more street. He also has a backdoor flush draw on top of that gut shot straight draw. May feel his queen and 10 are live, but the 5 of spades brings that backdoor flush draw into a front door. And I expect Adrian to bet again, try to get some value once Rob checks. And it depends on how big it is. He can either take it down now, but I think Rob is going to stick around to most bets, assuming it's not like an overbet or something like that. Adrian casually tossing out, it looks like, a bet of 600,000. We'll get that confirmed. It is 600,000. Rob doing some math, I believe, in his head now. Perhaps realizing it's only his flush draw that's live, and perhaps he's even up against a full house some of the time. It does make the call, hoping for that spade, and it is the queen of diamonds instead, and that's a trouble card for Rob because I don't think Adrian is expecting too many jack 10s. He should be trying to get value one more time, and it's going to be awfully hard for Rob to get away. As the chip leader could be 3-barreling, with something that they missed. Let's see how much he's going to bet out. He's reaching for his chips now. Doesn't look like it's going to be too big, actually. Just trying to squeak in a little bit more value. There's a bigger chip in there, so it actually is a big bet. It's 1.5 million. So there are 1 million chips in play now, too. Or 500,000. And Rob making the call. He's not going to be happy with what he sees, but still has plenty of chips to make some moves. And meanwhile, Adrian extending his chip lead up to 23.4 million. Started the day with 21.3 million. Jamie, Glenn's going to be doing the interviews and whatnot. He'll be joining me up here at some point. Right now, I'm left up by myself, and we're going to have guests throughout the day as they pop in and out. But yeah, of course, we're going to get Glenn Brown up here. He's been an absolute legend all week long. It could be a fun party if Rasmus wins.
Yeah, it would be a really nice party.
But speaking of Rob, he's been a little bit of card dead. Those fours are maybe looking like aces to him. He will be opening from early position. Rasmus quickly folding a weak ace. Nobody else showing up with anything. And may get the walk. I mean, that's the best case scenario in many ways for Rob. It's not like fours flops very well.
Yeah, I think that Oscar will be taking this with 6-3 suited in big blind to see the flop at least and to play a bit of post flop.
And look at this, bulls ahead. So he's not going to be going anywhere to a single bet by Rob. Rob is probably going to continue to rep that queen. I won't be surprised if he checks back as well.
I think that generally Rob should bet this, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure about the ICM spots in here. They're both pretty good stacks, and I spoke with Rasmus before I entered the booth that there are some smaller stacks as well in the table. So I think that they're gonna take it pretty easy here.
Yeah, I expect Rob to check back now. He didn't bet that big on the flop, and if his opponent didn't have a piece of the board, it was big enough to get them to fold. And it does go check, check. And an ace on the river. Perhaps Rob will try to rep the ace instead.
I think he actually should rep the ace. It's very much in his range, and I think that Oscar will be having a hard time calling with the 6 there. But we'll see.
The problem is that's not a draw heavy flop at all, and you got a call there. There is some value from the call if it was from a 2. We see it was from a 6. And it goes check, check.
Yeah, Rob checks
It would have been hard to bet there, actually. You would have had to bet big, and it's hard to bet big in that spot for reasons you just mentioned. You don't want to blow up your stack when there's a couple shorties in play. I just mean in other spots as well.
Yeah, and now Attila under the gun.
Ooh,
4
happy
big blinds deep with
days.
ace queen suited. This is definitely going in.
Happy days. And the hoodie over the neck, over the mouth. Trying to stay as a statue, but he's looking a little uncomfortable there. But nobody waking up with anything.
I think this will come down to the blinds if they find a hand to call, and
Luca folding his ducks.
I think Adrian
out of the way, and Oscar.
King 7 off in the
I
big
mean, he
blind.
may feel he's priced in, you know, like it's still like if you're looking at it from a chip EV point of view, it's a call.
Yeah, definitely from chip EV point, but I think that he is going to make the call, and we're gonna see.
Okay, so we have Attila with the ace-queen at risk. He could be the first player out, or we could have the start of a Cinderella story. He did double up once with ace-8 against tens. It was the only all-in that we've had so far. Now he has to fade a king-7 offsuit. He'd be thrilled to see an ace right out of the window. And it's not the flop that Attila wants to see, but he's still ahead. Needs to now fade an 8 as well. And the 4 diamonds on the turn ruins the backdoor flush draw. Just needs the board to pair or to brick otherwise. And it does pair the board. So Attila with the second double up at the final table. Still doesn't have a lot of chips, but that 2 million is much better than having that 4 big blinds he started the hand with.
Yeah, definitely 10 big blinds there. When you shove under the gun and you face 7 opponents, basically, even though it's a 4 big blind shove and you're sitting with a very premium ace queen suited there, it's shortest, or is he the shortest stack now, or did Giovanni pass him when he?
I'm not sure. We can take a look.
I think they are pretty even stacks now. I think it's.
Yeah, and Rob lost a good portion of his stack as well. Rob started today in third place with nearly 8 million. He's been pretty card dead, but still smiling.
Yeah.
And Rasmus, is he going to isolate a little bit here from the
I
big
was
blind?
about to say that I wouldn't be surprised if Rasmus would find some raises here with queen 4 off. And he actually pushes.
Wow, what just happened here? It was a jam by Rasmus out of nowhere,
Yeah, I was
and
also
Rob
about to say
calling.
what is going on because I saw him taking the
Wow,
100,000
wow, wow,
chips.
wow, wow. So Rob in an amazing spot. Rasmus needs a queen or something else. Oh my. So
Oh,
Rasmus with the
Rasmus with the
flush
Queen
draw
of Hearts.
and a king of clubs. So a queen or a heart. Otherwise, Rob doubles up. Rob can breathe the sigh of relief, but now Rasmus has doubled up two players. Once
Yeah,
with tens against fours, and now with the most powerful hand in queen four against fours. But apparently, he should not be playing hands when opponents have fours.
yeah. I think that that hand was out of my experience and definitely out of my league. I uh, I don't know. It's just I don't know
I
if they
think he
have
could
some.
have
I don't. Yeah,
raised.
I don't know if they have some history or what. And
It doesn't seem that way, at least from what I've seen on this table. This is the first time the two have kind of interacted actually in a hand as far as I remember. But I'll message that the graphics need to be corrected. So the chip counts will be slightly off until this will be fixed because they're calculating right now off the 150, 300 big blinds. But we can see it is something else. Rob would not be allowed to raise to 500,000. So Rasmus with the ace 10 is behind Rob's open with the 8-9 suited after Rob flopping middle pair. Rob is reaching out for some chips to continue. It is for 300,000. And Rasmus, who's been on a roller coaster ride, he had a lot of chips and then he doubled up two opponents. One where he got it in good with tens against fours. And Rasmus opting to fold and now has a flush draw with his ace 10. Meanwhile, Rob doesn't just have middle pair anymore. He has a gut shot to the straight. And let's see if Rob can find another bet here. No, he does check. Now is Rasmus going to bet out his flush draw or do something else? And it does look like Rasmus has bet something. And it's a big bet of 2.15 million, so this should get the job done. I mean, Rob with just middle pair, is he really going to want to risk that much of a stack? We could see that he's ahead. But Rasmus trying to turn his 35% equity into 100%, and he gets the job done. So Rasmus making some moves up to nearly 13 million in chips. Rally with queens against kings held by Rasmus, and he exited in 8th place for 12,760. And meanwhile, Rob has suited connectors and spades again. This time they're a little bit higher. And Dudisman raised it, and it looks like we have the blinds corrected in the graphic as well. So thank you for the quick reaction to the MST team. And so far, Rob is not getting any pushback. Adrian, as the chip leader, may decide to peel from the small blind. I wouldn't even be surprised if he 3-bet or folded from the small blind, but let's see what he has in mind. There are some short stacks in play. And does just peel, and let's see if Oscar comes along for the ride. Adds another blind. So there's already 1.75 million in the pot. And nobody really hitting too big of a piece of that flop. Actually, Adrian with the gut shot and the backdoor flush draw, but really it's garbage for everyone, but it hits Rob's range. So let's see if Rob can find a continuation bet. Not this time around. He's worried about that call that happened from the small blind, perhaps. And the 4 clubs on the turn makes Adrian's hand even prettier. And we can see that a 7 and 6 are live, but even if he doesn't factor that in, the 5 would complete a straight, and then any club would complete a flush. So checks back around to Rob. Is it going to be a delayed c-bet, or is it going to check all the way through? Right now, he does have the best hand. Opts to let it be, and it's the 7 of hearts on the turn, one of the cards that Adrian needed. So Adrian with the check mark. It doesn't mean he's going to be betting here. In fact, he should be checking, and indeed he does, and Oscar checking back, and now it's really hard for Rob to rep that he's done anything after he also checked on the turn. So it checks all the way through, and it's Adrian with the call from the small blind with the 7-6 suited getting there on the river. And the rich get richer once again, 27.65 million in chips for Adrian. These short stacks need to start waking up with some cards, but meanwhile it's Adrian, the chip leader, with the ace-10 suited from the hijack that will be first to open. And Oscar will fold his rags. Attila with the Brunson, that we know where that's going. Rest in peace, Doyle. And Rob with a weaker ace quickly folds. I love the way Rob plays. He already knows what he's going to do. Came out of the booth. Because once again, we're in a 30-minute delay. Yeah, he's talking to Oscar, so you could see what he looks like. He was just in the booth with us. And Adrian with another hand. Now it was jacks. Before it was nines. And Attila with the queen 10 is likely going to fold, knowing how he's played in the past, but he has put his cards in the box. Does indeed fold, and let's see what Rob has. He has ace-4. That's something he can defend if he wants to, especially against a button open. He can 3-bet here too. It would be a disaster for him if he did. Of course he can fold, but that's not the move I would actually be thinking about myself. Does indeed call. And no doing for the ace-4. Adrian has to worry about 1 overcard and 1 overcard only. But I expect him to bet, and then I expect that to take down the hand. But maybe he'll mix it up with a check. So to go check, check, and the 3 of clubs on the turn, maybe Rob's thinking, can I take it? But does check again. And is Adrian going to try to get now some value seeing the check after it was checked all the way through? He could feel fairly comfortable that it's unlikely his opponent has a queen at this stage. Of course he can. So it does go check, check again, and now the 9 of diamonds pairing the board on the river. And Rob thinking he has showdown value, checking it back, checking it to Adrian. Now is Adrian going to find any thin value to bet here? Like what would he be targeting with this value? He can't fold off anything better. I guess he can target a 6. It looks like he's going to try for some very thin value. It's a biggish bet though, isn't it? Let's see. 775, so more than half the pot. And now Rob hasn't given up yet. Might think his ace high is good. It wouldn't be one of the hands that Adrian would be, let's say, targeting, thinking that Rob had an ace, but it is possible. And Rob thinking, what would have checked the flop and checked the turn only to bet the river, but still wisely gives up on the hand from a results-oriented point of view. And Adrian now at an all-time high for the tournament at 28.65 million in chips. A little bit of a yawn there from Rob. It's quite the grind. I mean, Rob is quite the warrior over in that colorful shirt in C4, the man that traveled out from Texas, actually. We've seen him in Europe a few times before. Rob recalled a few conversations that we had earlier in the, earlier. I meet so many people that I remembered meeting him, but I had, as soon as he says, we talked about this, I'm like, oh yeah, it's... sometimes you need the memory kind of like pushed a little bit.
Can you tell from his play on this final that he's now more of a cash game player these days?
No. I mean, it's hard though. It's like I'd have to judge how he played with the deep stack. You approach cash games completely different than a tournament. You don't need to win all the chips in a cash game. It would be nice if you do. I joke with Oscar that you win all the chips in the casino.
Kind of yesterday, I think his approach was very much like a steady cash game. He started off small stacks and he gradually got bigger throughout the day. He didn't have the roller coaster. He just gradually grew stack.
I can tell you that Rob is a nice guy in terms of how he plays. This is the first that I'm really seeing him from this angle. I'm pretty sure, as a live reporter, I've come across him, but you're coming across a lot of people. You don't remember everything about everybody. And Corey Leona is saying that Rob can go to a wedding. He's saying he would, not that he can, but that he would go to a wedding in that shirt.
Both Oscar and Giovanni here don't speak any English, so the interviews have been done by Valeria.
Ah, good. It'll be nice when Valeria is actually, she came as a tourist and a player this time, but I hear that maybe we'll get a little bit more of Valeria on camera. I mean, she's such fun. I know you guys have seen her during the last Battle of Malta and the one before and the one before that.
Meanwhile,
and a shout out to Patricia as well.
Back to the action.
Giovanni. This is a standard button open. And Rob, what are we going to do here, Rob? I think it's a 3-bet, but you have played a lot more live poker than I have. I've probably played a lot more online poker than anyone at the final table, but that's a different story. And it's a shove by Rob. And I mean, I don't see Giovanni calling in this spot. This is the first time I've seen Rob. I mean, he has 3-bet shove before, but not over a button open from the big blind.
He's not risked enough of his stack, really, to be committed at this point.
He's, though, like, what the fuck? I'm so strong right now. What is Rob doing here? He's going to use at least one card. The 20 seconds isn't going to be enough for him.
I think he might have folded quicker if they weren't suited.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really strong hand. And it's actually not faring that badly against Rob's perceived 3-bet shove range. But Rob is not, from what we've seen, he hasn't seen everything that we've seen. I don't see Rob doing it lighter than an ace-10. Maybe a king-queen suited is going to be part of it.
Second time bank?
I don't blame him. This is actually a spot. I mean, online, I'd probably be in, like, the time bank range. I mean, we make decisions so fast online that... Did he get it in? Oh, my God.
He makes the call.
Wow. We could be losing Giovanni. I know who Corey's rooting for. We have the Go Rob already in the chat. Giovanni, though, our unknown player who has a massive rail.
He's certainly not unknown after this, whatever happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens, though. Giovanni standing up, waiting for something to happen. The 5 Jack Deuce flop is not one he wanted to see. No spades going on, so needs that 10. Maybe something that connects with that Jack for his 10. The 5 of spades, that spade's a little bit too late.
No?
Yeah, the Jack or 2 for a chop. And it's a Jack of clubs. Oh, my God. Giovanni with the fist pump, with the save. Of course, those rooting for Rob aren't going to be too thrilled with that river, but at least it was not a 10. And Giovanni showing some guts there with that call, but once again, it was kind of a hard spot. And if he put his opponent's range a little bit wider from a chippy point of view, I think it is a good call. But from an ICM point of view, I would have to do the calculations to know per se, but it has to be close one way or the other. Corey says that Rob needs a coffee, so maybe when Jonathan's out of the booth, he can lend the man from Texas a hand, or at least get somebody to bring him one over. Corey is Rob's older sister, we just learned as well.
So Corey says Rob needs a coffee.
Yes, I'm right here. Rob needs a coffee.
Where's Corey?
Corey is here.
Oh,
in
she's
my
not
chat.
here at the moment, right?
No, no, no.
Oh, right.
She's here with us on Facebook, but not here physically with us in the comms booth as an invisible person.
But Rob does have a friend with him who's on a rail somewhere. Maybe he can get my coffee.
Maybe. That's what friends are for. Maybe it's not a good friend, though. Maybe it's a friend that wants to see like him do bad versus do good, but hopefully we can get him a coffee, Corey. I know the waiters and waitresses have been passing through a little bit too. But Rob, speaking of Rob, it's snowman time for Rob. It doesn't snow too much in Texas, but we're in Malta for that matter, but snowmen are always pretty to see. And Rasmus with the ace-9, weird spot for him. I wouldn't want to see a call. A 3-bet or a fold are both the better options in my head. But Rasmus, he's a very studious poker player. Has studied a lot more than I possibly have time for. So if he just called, I would have said that's probably okay. But Adrian may opt to actually defend this Jack-3. It's more about the player than the card sometimes, but also it's suited. I think this is more than fine as a chip leader because you can push people around. And even as a short stack, it would be fine for the opposite reasons. You just have a lot of ways to double
It's
up.
very fine now.
Oh no, poor Rob. We may lose Corey if things get out of hand here. Adrian with the easy check.
Better
And
get
it
him
looks-
that coffee quickly.
Yeah, but it looks like Rob is keeping it small. Yeah, 350. I like this because I think Adrian is just going to call. There's no reason for him to raise, and then he's going to have to check then the turn then, and Rob can check it back for pot control. So obviously if an 8 comes on the turn, then Rob would be betting again, you know, but if he's called here, he'll slow it down. He may try to target a 6 on a river or even on the turn, but in general, he's trying to keep it small. And as expected, Adrian actually raised. By as expected, I meant the opposite. But he's making it now a little bit easier for Rob, but I don't think Rob is going to think, well, he might have a jack, but he might not. He's going to be raising me here a lot of the time as the new overwhelming chip leader as opposed to just the normal chip leader. Did Rob fold? Yeah, very disciplined there by Rob. I'm sure that's a hand he's going to want to see what his opponent had, whether he was being pushed around or not. He'll be happy when he looks back at the stream that indeed his 8s were crushed on that ridiculous flop for Jack-3. But now the final 4 have locked up 35,000, so another 7,000 in their pockets. And
I guess he can afford himself a couple of new suits and maybe crash a wedding or two.
yeah, why not? But meanwhile, Rob is probably the most happiest that blind versus blind bloodshed happened with his 12 big blind stack. He can now, get rid of ICM a little bit in his mind and just try to chip up at this stage. Check out the battleofmalta.com blog. Alec is busy downstairs, probably listening to us now. He's maybe got me on double, triple, quadruple speed, but he's busy looking for those big hands and those big eliminations, and he's getting them into the reporting as well. So great job, team, on everything this week.
It's been a very enjoyable team to work with. A great bunch of guys. I hadn't met Alec or Chris before, or Lorena for that matter. Had met Glenn, but they've all been very good. It's been a very good atmosphere. Andre and everybody from Casino Malta all been fantastic as well.
Yeah, it's been great, and shout out once again to Glenn, Lorena, Andre on the social media side, the visual side. Glenn being the host, Lorena handling a lot of the recording, but also a lot of the editing. Once in a while, being in the front of the camera, but 99% of the time behind it, and Andre being the conductor of sorts, also doing a little bit of everything, filling in those gaps, coming up with ideas, a true asset to Casino Malta, and as Telly's right-hand man at the Battle of Malta.
Meanwhile, they both hit the 9.
Yeah, but Rob hit also an 8. It's happy days for Rob. There's not much that can happen that can go wrong anymore. I mean, if it goes spade, spade, he can get bet off it, but, you know. Rob might be actually raising here. You know, it is a draw-heavy board, too. I wouldn't blame him.
Yeah, it's his chance to get back in the game a bit.
Some players would get a little bit anxious and actually shove here, not wanting to see what would come if a scary turn card comes, what to do.
He's getting close to 10 big blinds at the moment, so...
And he raises it up to 900,000. And Adrian's got to be thinking that
He's basically saying, I'm not
what's
getting away
happening?
from this hand.
You may be thinking, is he really doing this with a draw, though? You know, like Rob would be doing this with a draw at different stages of the tournament, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not every time. Yeah, he has to call to at least see what happens on the turn here. If it's another spade, he'll be up to get out of the way. Or even a 6 or a 7, he will. But it's the ace of clubs. That might be also a card that will help him. But let's see, Rob is likely to fire again with this 2 pair. I would just shove. You have less than 1 SPR in your stack. Unless you want to check to see if your opponent shoves on a blank river, but I don't know. There's enough in the pot where you should, I think, just shove. And Rob
It doesn't do
agrees.
check it, yeah.
And is Adrian going to call is the question.
Yep.
It's very close. We'll find the exact amount of the shove shortly. But we believe it's a 2.125. And looking at the stacks, it's actually 2.125. So well done by the tech crew and being precise to that 3rd digit there. And Adrian, he's getting decent odds to actually call, but on the other hand, that's only if Rob has a few bluffs in his range, and it's not that Rob should at this stage. Okay, I like the fact that he's using a time bank. This is a player that's used his time bank cards wisely, and I've seen a few players waste them, and if they get to the final 3, I don't think they get a refresh on them.
I think this is it, isn't it? It's 5, haven't they? You had 5 extra. They've had 5 at the beginning of the
Yeah, explain how that works.
and then another 5 they got at the beginning of the final table. Yeah, so they had 10 in total across the last 2 days.
And maybe they'll get a few more heads up. And he does make the call. So Rob finding the double. It was hard for Adrian to get away from that, just the way it plays out. But there's no card that
An
can
ace
help
for a
him.
split.
An ace for the split, you're right. But it's instead of 3 of hearts, you did not jinx Rob. And it looks like the Rob Perelman fans in the chat have a reason to celebrate. He's off life support and now has 6.8 million in chips and right in the middle of the things, at least
And
among the
apparently-
short stacks.
Battle of Malta is now trending in Austin, Texas.
Sound guys would go mad. 9 to Rob.
This time we know he's going to be opening. Is he reaching for raise? Yes. Looks like a nice raise too, to about 1 million, maybe a little less. I think it's 1 million though. No, it's 700,000, 800,000. And Rasmus with a decent enough hand to call that. It's another 500,000 for him to call. That being said, Rob has not opened like this from positions without having something. And
Right, okay.
But still, I think it's a call, even if you're saying Rob is strong. You call, you play in position.
Yeah, it's cool. It looks like he's called.
You can 3-bet as well if you really feel like it, but a call is the natural play. Three 5s on the flop, so
Triple 5.
easy full house there for Rob. It would be the awfulest of awful bad beats if Rasmus had that 5.
Could you imagine?
But Rob should be continuing here, protecting his hands. There's a lot of cards that still aren't good in the deck for him. He just doesn't realize it's only the king at the moment, but potentially it could be a 10, jack, queen, king, or ace.
Yep.
And Rasmus may be saying, you know what, king high, Three fives. Let's go. I'll call another 500,000 and take it from there.
Might be here. I think he probably, he could actually, because he thinks his king's probably quite good if he hits it. But he doesn't.
But even if he doesn't hit it, he may feel he's ahead right now.
He could do.
You know, the queen jacks, jack tens, that may be doing the same thing. Even if you put Rob's ranges tight, it's not tight that it's just nines and better. And the three of diamonds doesn't change anything for Rob other than he's hoping that Rasmus has a three now. There are many threes that he could have called with that would be suited and some offsuit ones. Like ace three, king three.
It's checked. Rob's checked. Slowed it down.
Interesting he checked there. What's he afraid of there? Or maybe he's trying to induce a bet from Rasmus, or maybe feels the pot is big enough and just wants to see the river and go to showdown. Yep, he's induced a bet by Rasmus.
How much did Rasmus bet?
It was
450.
small too, yeah. I'm not sure the purpose of this bet sizing. It's to set up something on the river, perhaps.
I think Rob could re-raise him here. It might be a check raise.
It could be. A check. It could be even a check jam.
Yeah.
There's a, you know, he has about 1.3, 1.4 times the pot.
I think he's working out. He's cool for time.
Was that his last card?
I didn't. Yes, I don't see any more in his deck.
It may be blocked. No, there's a lot. You can see them blocked by the graphic.
Okay, yeah. He's just a cool.
I don't mind that. If you're going to check it, you're kind of wanting
Yeah.
to do some pot control or maybe setting something up. That's a very safe 8 for Rob. Is Rob going to check it again, and then is Rasmus just going to go for max pressure? That
Could you imagine? He's checked, Rob.
it is a little more than one size
Check,
in the
check.
pot, and Rasmus will be not disappointed. He probably knew at that stage that if Rob is calling there, I probably shouldn't be betting the river because I'm beat about 95% of the time.
Rob hasn't been opening much, has he? Without actually having some cards.
No, but he's not like being a complete nit either. It's something in the middle, you know, more of like a tight aggressive style of
Right,
play.
okay.
Sometimes tight passive, like in terms of what we saw here, you know, on the turn on river. Folds around to Rob with the pretty king-queen suited. Let's see if he raises from the small blind. Opts to just keep it small. It looks like a raise is incoming. To 800,000, and Rasmus with a king, queen, jack, not suited. Certainly good enough to defend with, but in this particular spot, he's pretty dominated by Rob's king, queen suited. And Rasmus does make the call. And this could be a little bit of a problem for Rasmus, but the ace may save the day. Neither player with top pair, but both players with middle pair. Rob with the better kicker with the king. Does go check, check. And now that paired board would mean a chop most of the time, with the kickers not mattering with the ace on the board. Rob checking it over again. Is Rasmus going to think, you know what, my queen might be okay, or is he going to check it back? Probably thinks he's ahead right now. It doesn't necessarily mean he will bet, because what is calling him? And then the 10 of clubs on the river changes nothing. So it's going to be a chop pot unless something really fancy happens. Obviously, a pretty big bet might get one of the players to fold. And it looks like Rob is going to try to get some thin value, but he's going to see that this is just going to be a chop pot. So Rasmus fortunate about that 5 pairing the board, but it wasn't that big of a pot to begin with. Not sure he knows it's his turn. That's exactly it. I didn't know it was his turn. And Rob with the 10-9 from the button could opt to open here. And it looks like he will. And let's see what Rasmus does. He only has 6 deuce suited, so that goes away. And Giovanni will likely be folding as well. No reason for him to defend the 7-3 here. And as I say that, chips are being counted out. Perhaps thinking he can outplay Rob. It's a 3-bet. Wow, Giovanni showing some stuff there. Wow, wow, wow. Didn't see that one coming at all. Perfect timing for that, too. You're blaming the karaoke.
Yes, not.
I hope my wife isn't listening because she tells me when she's around, never do karaoke. And when she's not around, I'm, of course, doing whatever I want in terms of karaoke.
Yeah, I mean, I used to host karaoke, so we did it with as a booth at the players' party.
But hold on a second. Rasmus just did what we saw him do in the earlier days, but it's the first time he's had a walk today. So whenever he gets a walk, he does a lap around the table and with a smile on his face, and he gave a nice fist bump to Rob before getting back down in his seat. The two of them have been getting on fantastically, I have to say. Wow, phones on the table, but I assume you mean yesterday when he was doing the same thing on day 4.
I mean, for me as media to record it so that we can have that with the articles that I'm writing.
Good, good. And Rob back in action with the Queen 10 suited from the button, but Rasmus with a pretty pair of 7s there. We know he's not folding them. He's probably 3-betting them. We've seen Rob fold to 3-bets before, so that's all part of the mental calculations I'm pretty sure that Rasmus is doing. He's been on these types of spots before. And he just jams it in with this. Oh my God, what's going on? He jams it in with the 7s, and he's going to regret that instantly with Giovanni coming in with the aces. But it's going to be Giovanni at risk. But if Giovanni's hand holds, we're going to have Rasmus super short. And he's been in second place most of the day. Dropped down to third at one point, but got back into second. And let's see if Giovanni aces can hold. The one player we don't know too much about, results not on Hendemob, Giovanni Caggia. We know that he has a big rail, so must play a lot of poker. And let's see. We have the aces against the 7s. Omar, bring out the flop. Nino watching intently. But more often than not, these aces are going to be good. And we have a safe 10-9-4 flop, 2 clubs, even better. Really just the 2 7s left. I mean, an 8 will make things interesting, as would a 6 or a jack. But it is a jack, so now it's also some more outs. We could see one of those 8s are blocked, but technically he has now 6 outs. Will the aces hold? And indeed they do. And a celebration by Giovanni. You can take a look at some of his rail now. Actually, on his rail was also Flaviano, who just busted. So the best dressed man is back, but Giovanni doubling up to that 17 million. I mean, Giovanni's had quite the run today, and now is the closest opponent to our all-day chip leader in Adrian. So quite now some trouble for Rasmus, and you could see the frustration there. Perhaps a 3-bet would have been better. You can get out of the way to a 4-bet shove. Yeah, you're going to lose some chips, but you're not going to be 4-bet shoved on lightly. Yeah, you're losing some equity against those ace-kings, ace-queens that might be doing the same. But other than that, it's I'm not saying it was a mistake because it was still like a 25 big blind shove, but, maybe you could have done just the standard 3-bet, knowing that Rob has been able to open fold before, the 3-bets.
Yeah, and I mean, pocket 7s versus aces. Nice to see the aces hold because sometimes the equities feel like they're reversed in those situations if 7 comes on the flop. But Rasmus, obviously, still a chip in a chair. 6.4 big blinds right now. and about 2 million in his chip count.
He's the odds-on favorite. He has been the whole day, but it's anybody's game. I've seen nice play from all three of these players. They all have slightly different styles that work for them, but they all seem to have a good understanding of where they're at in the tournament stage, how they should play. Rob, I won't be surprised to see a shove here. So Rob getting it in. Good spot for him. Giovanni with the 8-5, and Adrian is going to have to fold.
Yeah.
Normally out covering Canadian events with Lyle Bateman, who's another great member of our team. And this week, we've all been part of the fantastic family at the Battle of Malta. I invited the crew to join the family. I would like to say with our father, Telly Bartolo, but that's not meant because he's old. I'm probably older than him, but our leader, Telly Bartolo, doing a fantastic job. And Kevin from the casino, been around every day. Diane showing her support as well. Really just support all around. I mean, this MST production crew that's running the stream, they're so easy to work with. But never mind, we have a spot for Adrian. I mean, it's a open by Adrian and a shove by Rob. And Adrian is trying to look for something. He is using a time bank card. It is a little bit of an awkward spot for him. And what a disciplined fold there. So Rob chipping up to 8 million. He was on not life support, but, you know, a little bit low, and watching Rasmus go out, securing at least 50,000 euros to go back to Texas with, regardless. Quack, quack here for Giovanni with the Ducks. Looks like it will be a button open. Min raised to 800,000, and Adrian folding his 7-6 suited. But meanwhile, Rob here with that ace-9 suited, is he going to jam it? We saw him jamming on a 20 big blind stack in similar spots with these kind of hands. He has a sub-20 big blind stack at the moment. And then Giovanni would be hard for him to call with the Ducks, even though we see it's like 50-50 a pure coin flip. It looks like Rob asking, how much do you have, Giovanni? Maybe he is thinking of doing something, and he is jamming the lot. Now, what is Giovanni going to do? He's not beating anything, but he's flipping against a lot and is forced to fold. So Rob picking up some more free chips there. Player, when they're walking by that wall of fame, this time it was a digital wall of fame, but that was fantastic as well. I'm assuming the physical wall of fame is coming back for October. It has to for the 10th version over here at Casino Malta, which is going to be absolutely fantastic with a 1.5 million guaranteed main event, with many other events also having guarantees, bringing it up to at least 2 million in guarantees, Telly. So you've really rolled out the red carpet for what's coming up next.
Next event is the 10th edition that Battle of Malta is the Casino Malta is hosting this event, and definitely there will be always surprises. Always, Battle of Malta brings up something new to the actual event, something exciting, and players like to be surprised as well. Coming to the event today, this week. Let's see this hand.
Yeah, we have a min bet by Adrian with the top pair, and we had Giovanni with the crap end of the open ender. But now, yeah, this could be trouble for Giovanni. He's gotten himself a little bit short, and we see that, yeah, you know, he has some outs, but he may be forced to overplay his hand. We'll see. He checked it. Adrian is going to continue the pressure. And will Giovanni get away from it? It is 1 million. That's a lot of his stack. Makes the quick call. It's actually raising it to 2 million. Wow. Is Adrian just going to ship it in at this point? He has two pair and a draw heavy board. I don't see really too many other options here. Could just call and see what happens on the river, but I think you just get it in right now. And then unless a miracle happens on the river, it's going to be heads up pretty soon, Telly. He's going to use a time bank card. Nope, he's just going to call. A chip is cheaper than a time bank card, perhaps. And the 4 of spades on the river.
I think
And Giovanni just snap blasting it, and he's going to get some bad news here.
yeah.
Does call it, doesn't seem happy about it, but we'll be happy in a second. And Giovanni Kaguya, out in third place for 50,000 euros. He was the one player that we didn't have that much information about because a lot of his stuff is hidden, but what we do know is he had a fantastic reel throughout the final table, played fantastically all day long, and, you know, finishing third on the podium in the Battle of Malta is quite a feat and has 50,000 reasons to be happy, Telly. And they're looking to win that top prize of 120,000 euros, a fantastic trophy that goes to the winner, and perhaps most importantly to some players, to get their face added to that Battle of Malta Wall of Fame, where they'll be immortalized in poker history. The Americans that have been tuning in for Rob, I know some of you are getting off to work at this moment, but hopefully you have time to watch what might be an exciting end for Rob. It's been a fantastic run for him, but it's been the Adrian show all day. Came in with a chip lead, never lost it, and now has a massive chip lead during heads-up play. Really putting on a master course here at the Battle of Malta against a very talented final table. So we'll see how both these players approach heads-up action with this dynamic. It's a limp from Adrian from the button with a dominating queen, but it's Rob that gets the best of this flop with the deuce 10 ace. Adrian has a backdoor flush draw. His 5 is still alive. Some other possibilities, but Rob's deuce is in the lead. And let's see what Rob Perelman, who traveled from as far as Texas, will do here, and quickly folds his bottom pair. And now is down to just 14 big blinds. Some of the rail has already left. There was a large Italian contingency with half the final table being from Italy. But after Giovanni Kaguya went out in third place for 50,000 euros, we're left without an Italian winner. And it will either be a first-time winner from Poland, and Adrian, or if Robert is able to mount a comeback, it'll be the first time a player from North America has won the Battle of Malta here at Casino Malta. Meanwhile, Rob has a pretty king-jack from the button. We'll see if he's going to be in full limping mode. This will probably tell us what's going on, but he's just going to jam the lot in and hope for the best. Adrian, nothing doing with the 9 deuce. So back to where we started, 55.4 versus 6.3. Ooh, pretty hand here for Adrian. The fish hooks. Is he going to still limp? Yep, it looks like a full limping strategy here for Adrian. And Rob with the queen 7. If it was a queen king, maybe we'd see some fireworks. With the queen 7, he might be just checking back. Both players with a massive pile of time bank cards that they've been saving. These have been two of the more efficient players in terms of playing. Rob really making most of his decisions in under 3 seconds, and Adrian slightly longer in some cases, but this could be a trouble flop for Rob, flopping the middle pair, but Adrian with the bottom set on a draw-heavy board with 2 diamonds, Broadway outs as well. And let's see, I expect Adrian to continue, even though it was just a limp and it's just a min bet. Slowly whittling away, and I don't see how Rob can get away. We could see that the chances of winning a hand are very small. He needs a pair of runners of some sort that either connect with the board, and a king queen or queen 7 would do the job, or running 7s would not actually do it. But this might slow down the action. That was a card that Adrian does not want to see unless the board pairs. He's behind now a 9 and an ace. But perhaps we'll be betting again. Let's see. I think this will be a check back, and he comes to the same conclusion. And the 2 of diamonds doesn't change anything. Rob really has no reason to bet. If it's checked over to him, maybe Adrian tries for some thin value, targeting a king or a queen. And Rob does indeed check. He has some showdown value here. It's not like a tremendous amount with this kind of ugly board for both players. But that's not stopping Adrian. He's looking for max value from, let's say, a thin call. hoping that maybe there's a king queen that might call. You can tell now that his opponent doesn't have an ace because that would have been snapped off. And gets a quick fold. So Rob now down to 5.1 million. Needs to get things going his way. He can't take too many more of those hits. And Rob with the 9-6 suited from the button. This ops are not complete. Folded over, and Adrian had an 8-7. So Rob playing it very tight during heads up thus far. Glass of tea here. Perhaps my voice needs a little fixing up, so thank you for that, Jonathan. Looks like Adrian is limping his entire NE2 range from the button. We saw him limping with jacks, and now we see him limping with 9-5 on the button. And Rob may be thinking about jamming the lot with him down to 10 big blinds. Does indeed, and steals it away. Was ahead in that spot, but still nice to see Rob making a move there up to 5.4, around where he started the heads-up battle. Players will be slightly disappointed that they didn't get their face on the wall and that extra 50 grand that's going to the winner. Rob jamming it in again, this time with a weak king, but looks like he has a jam fold strategy versus a limp fold strategy like or a full limp strategy like Adrian has. So both players approaching heads up differently, but both in different spots. Knowing it's not every day you get heads up in such a massive field event as prestigious as the Battle of Malta. Let's see if Rob jams. We saw him either jamming or folding before. He's on an 11 big blind stack, facing a limp from Adrian with just nothing, and this will work again. Up to 6.9 million. So now Rob has more chips than he started heads up play. Still is far behind. For those of you tuning in for the final moments, this is the 2025 Battle of Malta main event. Heads up action. It was 1,542 entries and now down to the final two. Both players locking up 70,000 euros with Rob Perelman facing off against Andrea and Zmielczak. Not necessarily in the spot he would prefer to be in during heads up, but it's better to be in that spot than to be not heads up at all. And Adrian back to getting some cards. Is this where he starts raising? Or maybe he'll start thinking, I'll just keep limping. Maybe, get trapped when I have a hand like ace-king, and that's what he does. And Rob with the jack-4 will probably check this one behind. It is suited. Does just check it back. Not the worst flop for ace-king, but certainly not the best. And all Rob has is that backdoor flush draw. I mean, his jack and 4 are technically still alive, so it has a little bit more than that. But it's a check by Rob, and Adrian betting 500,000. The continuation bet works with Rob not having enough to call even a single blind bet. 6-5 offsuit for Rob. And a quick fold. And Adrian would have had the dominating 9-5, but of course wouldn't be calling a shove with that. And Adrian with the 8-deuce offsuit. And this time he says, well, I'm not 100% completing. I can fold my 8-deuce. And Rob with the queen-9, which is very pretty during heads up, even out of position. Gives a nice smile. I'm very much looking forward to the next Battle of Malta, as it is the 10th version held here at Casino Malta. And they're really going to roll out the red carpet for that. They're going to add more tables than you've seen before. They're going to have a 1.5 million guaranteed main event. I'm very curious myself what Telly and Diane and Kevin and the crew over at Casino Malta have in mind for this 10th version, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be one you want to miss. October 28th to November 5th here at Casino Malta. So Andre, I'm back to limping, this time with 7-4 suited. Is Rob just going to jam in his king? Or is he going to check it back? He does jam it in, finding those spots where Adrian is super weak and getting quick folds. So far, so good. Rob with the 9-6. Based on what we've seen from before, it's likely a fold, and it is. You can complete there as well on even a stack depth like his, and he would have been a little bit ahead of that 9-4. Not sure the kickers would have come into play. Maybe the kickers would have been what determined the hand, either by connecting directly or just being in play. Okay, Adrian with the Jack-9. He's certainly going to complete if he was completing many other hands, and we haven't seen him raise a single hand despite being as good as Jacks. During heads-up play, I'm referring to, he raised plenty of times, not during heads-up play. And Rob with some suited connectors are just not very good ones. Just calling behind, checking back his option from the big blind. And neither player really connecting with anything on this 6-queen deuce rainbow flop. No backdoor flush draw for Rob. Adrian is still ahead. Rob with a gut shot. If the 5 hits for a straight, the 4 and 3 are still live for him. So equity-wise, it's not too far apart. And Adrian just bets, and Rob folds. So happy days for Adrian, and Rob now back in danger zone again, under 10 bigs. Rob with 7-3 offsuit, likely to be open folded. So down to 4.6 million with another million going in this hand. This will be certainly completed. Very pretty hand from the button with the 9-8 suited. And I only say that because we haven't seen Adrian raise at all. So, you know, it was either going to be a complete or a fold. But of course, he could start raising at any given moment, especially now that Rob is short. Maybe that could have been a jam even. But Rob going to get a free look with his 8-3. And it's a 9 out of the window, followed by a queen and a 10. So bottom pair for Adrian, along with both players having the same gut shot straight draw. Although it shows Rob at 10%, it's got to be single-digit equity. Eight of 5 of diamonds changes nothing other than increasing the chances that Adrian will win this hand outright. Both players checking, and the queen pairing the board on the river. And Rob giving up on the hand, not connecting in any way, shape, or form. And Adrian will likely check it back. There's not really hands he can really be getting value from here. Maybe a 5. That being said, incoming bet, it looks like. Not a big one. Maybe he just didn't want to show what he had. And Rob now down to 3.6 million. Rob likely to fold his 6 deuce. And Adrian with 9-6 suited. So nearing that 60 million chip count mark. Perhaps moving from a different part of the rail to be front and center as we get closer and closer to crowning a champion here at the 2025 Battle of Malta Main Event Spring Edition. This time Rob getting a walk, and it was 3 deuce, and Rob maybe giving a smile because he had a hand that he would have definitely called a jam with king, queen offsuit. Reserved, I would say. Focusing on his game. And an open fold here as well. So Rob back up to 3.8 million. It's not enough to really one Broadway card and one lowest card in the deck for Rob. And just folds it, the Queen Deuce, and Adrian with the 9-3. Let's see if we just have some jamming going on now that Rob is so short. Maybe Adrian just jams. And indeed he does. He jams that Queen 9, and Rob with the Jack 9 suited, not that much left. He might say, I have to give it a shot here. Otherwise, he's down to 5 big blinds. And he does make the call, folks, so it could be all over here if Adrian's Queen 9 is able to hold. Meanwhile, Jack 9 suited has different possibilities as well. We're not just looking at a Jack coming. Of course, a flush can come, a straight can come. But let's see how this plays out. Even if Rob doubles up here, he has some work to do. He'd be at 6.3 million, but we could be crowning a champion right here, right now. The first ever Polish champion, if this hand can hold. But it's a Jack out of the window, but a Queen to follow. Oh my, what a drama flop. Rob now drawing super thin. Despite the Jack out of the window, he needs another one. The Ace of Clubs is not the card that he is looking for, so now it's a Jack, or only a Jack, or we have our 2025 Battle of Malta main event champion, and it's a 3 of spades. So Rob Perelman out in second place, very valiant effort for 70,000, and Adrian Smichov putting on a display, coming in as the chip leader, commanding throughout the final table, and closes it out in style with a victory with the best hand, winning €120,000 top prize.